Okay, so let's do this second exercise. In this second exercise, we would like to, we have only the entities, and we need to draw the entity relationship diagram. We need also to find some kind of attributes to those, especially the primary keys. We can add more, but there's no need in this exercise to do that. So I will just, for the sake of speed, I will just create blank diagrams. Call it. This was no. This was. Let's. I don't need this one. Let's create a blank one. I'm going to name it exercise 2 and wait for this to happen. Okay. So let's rename that. Let's call it exercise 2. Then you remember we need to add the shapes. In the standard, go down UML and then entity relationship, click, close, and then add the entities. So these are all entities. We said these are using the following entities. So I have student, course, etc. So let's do that. Student. Okay. Let's shrink it a bit and copy and paste. And we have student, we have course, and section, department, and department, faculty, and grade. Okay, so just for the sake of this exercise and not to lose more time, normally the first thing we should do is put the primary keys. So we should select some to be primary keys, so which will be the ID of the student, whatever. But for now, we're not interested, we don't have time for this, and we might do that later if we have time. But now the most important thing is to put some relationships between these, and then the cardinality. You remember the cardinality? When we just ask a question, 1 from this side is related to how many from the other side, and this is what we'd like to be doing, inshallah. So first of all, now we said that each one of these will be having some kind of attribute that is going to be the primary key, and now we would like to put some relationships. So I'm listening to you. What are the relationships? Yes.
Okay.
Which ones?
Which one? You can choose.
Student with course? Is there a relationship between a student and a course? What would be the relationship between a student and a course?
Student taking a course.
Oh, really? What about the section then?
Also a section.
How come? You take a course in a section?
No, section with a
If you take a course, a section, then you're going to be taking a course of that section. So you see, no, it's not like you're going to put everything relationship everywhere.
It's not randomly.
But of course, the whole concept is this is not how you build a database. You say, okay, you know what? I'll just put looks good. This looks good. Then this is a. So first things first. Let's go for the obvious. You see, you went for students and course, and then when I ask about section, you realize, oh, okay, what's then? So there should be something. That it doesn't work like that. So let's go for the easiest ones.
Department and course.
Course and department. And what's the relationship between course and department?
Course.
Let me cancel this and make sure to have this. So we said the course and the department, then there's a relationship, and then what's the name of that relationship? What this relationship is about? What do you call it? A course is the department who offers the course, maybe.
Or plans.
Offer or plans the course. Maybe offer is more clear. Okay, what else? Sorry? Faculty with department, because the faculty is from a department, so we can do something like this. Relationship, and it should not be. Yeah. And what's the name? Doctors teach or belongs to. It belongs to a department. Okay, and so a teacher belongs to a specific department, so faculty belongs to a department. Okay. Grade is a grade with a student. No, a grade is not with a student, because if we say that the grade is a student, means just every student has like some kind of a grade, regardless of what course he took, which is not something that is making sense. It should be about a grade of a student in a course. And this grade is one of the relationships which involves not 2 but 3. I cannot just say the student is related to grades or the course is related to grades, because then I don't know who grade of which student. So it's when a student gets a course, he gets a grade. So these 3 are together, linked together. And this is the kind of relationship that is going to be there. But I'm not going to relate this to a course, because student does not register in a course. He registers in a section of a course, which means I'm going to do something like this, and then put a relationship between a student and a section, and the section that has a relationship with the course. So now the section and course, what kind of relationship? Let's do something. So what is that? Section number? Part of a course? Well, I'm still not finding some action. I'm trying to look for a verb that shows some kind of action. I'm sorry? Of the? It's not some kind of a verb. Course of the? Section of a course? No. Look for verbs.
Divides too.
Divides?
Like the course divides into sections.
Or has? A course has. It has many sections. No, it's kind of the opposite. Yeah, it's a course that has a section or has many more. Or many. We'll look at the cardinality later. But this is how we do things now. And then, what other things that you think might be interesting? So, students and section. So, the student section will capture what kind of information? What kind of relationship is that?
Study.
Register, study, register in a section. So we like to know which section is registered in. I'm sorry? Holds. What do you mean? Student holds a section, or student holds? Well, holds is like something grabbing something. So probably register is a student register in a course, in a section, and the section has some registered students, something like that. Okay, then what about the grade?
Section? Is it a relationship between student, section, and course?
Yes, actually, this is when a student registers, then the grade is going to be there. So then this grade here should belong to
Both student and section and course.
all these 3 together. When a student registers in a section, he gets a grade. And a grade is about a student in a section. It's not a course. It's a grade of a student in a course. Not even a course, because a course can have many sections. And the student is associated to a section of the course. So if it's a grade of a student in a section of a course.
It's a relationship that are connected between the student and section. It's okay to have the course with it.
I didn't get that question.
Now I have the grade.
Now we have grade, student, and section all together.
Have to a relationship with the student and section. Okay.
You're looking at these two, okay?
Yeah.
Without this third one,
Yes.
okay?
So let's make the grades with another relationship with the courses.
But it doesn't make sense. Why we did for the course?
Because the section is has a relationship with the courses.
Okay, but when you do this grade for a course, you don't have the information about which student. Now it's just the grade of a course. This might be understood as, for example, the overall grade of all students.
But it can be.
It can be, but it's not going to capture what you think you're capturing. When you look at this and think that grade is that the grade of a student, and if you put it in a course, you think that I'm going to be able to know which students. No, because now this is between a course and a grade. That's it. It doesn't have any extra information. Yes. So now, if you need that extra information, you have to put them together. So I cannot put a student and a grade together alone because I don't know to grade of which section of a course. I cannot put it in a section. I cannot put it in a course. It has to be all three together: the course, the student section, and a grade. Because now, if you based on your understanding of the grade, it's a grade of a student in a section of a course. So that's how it should be represented. It's not of a grade of a course, or a grade of a section, or a grade of a student.
That's the relation that helps this kind of thing.
Yes, based on what we would like to do, this is the representation of it. Because if you just link student and grade, this means that every student will have one or more grades, but on what? I don't have this information. You have grades on C++ or Java. Which one of that? I don't have that. I will have it only if I put all these three together. All right, and is that it? I mean, we can put much more than that.
You can make a relationship faculty with a grade.
What the purpose of that relationship would be? We could.
Faculty assess the grade.
Assist?
Maybe faculty.
Assess.
Assess. I mean, he's the one who puts the grade, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible. If you imagine in a section, you have the faculty who teaches the course is not the one who gives the grade, for example. So that's possible. But let's just look at just what is happening here in JUC. There's some other things that we can add as well. You had something? Faculty with course to capture what? What kind of information? To teach. Because you know now this faculty is from CS, but which course he's teaching, we don't know. Then yes, we could have a relationship between a faculty and a course. Or is it a section of a course? Because if you say a faculty with a course, you're basically saying that this faculty can teach this course. But is he teaching it or not? That's another story. But if you link it to the section, that you know who is teaching what. So we can just add this one. I would like to add more just so you can play more with the cardinality. So let's call it this teaches. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing anything, but let's see how this is going to. Yes, you had a question?
When should we start? What's the end point?
The end point is when we meet all what is required by the people who told us this is what they want. That's where we stop. But there's no requirement, so we can just stop whenever we want.
Because I'm looking for, what the question says.
Well, the question doesn't say anything, but we have these. What do you like to do, basically? This is what the question says. Just this, and put whatever relationship you think makes sense in a typical university situation. So you're pretty much you're free. It's open. But we're not going to do things that are, very extreme special cases. But what we know is, for example, common in our college. Let's try to have it implemented somehow. And now this relationship, I would like to call it like teachers.
So can I create another
Oh.
relationship?
If you want, yeah, why not? We're here just to
Course.
add relationship. Faculty with course
Yes, and the relationship. and
can
the-
teach, but do we do that? I mean, is it something that's really important?
Yes, we.
We could, but it just doesn't add any. This is not something that is really essential that happens here, and we in the department we don't do that. We don't record something that this can teach that, this can teach that. Even though it would be, I mean, something that is useful, but this, yeah, there's some other things that we need actually that is missing that I want you to find out.
Can we make
By student with department, why?
Because which department student, which major?
The major, which is something very needed. Every student has a major. How do we know that which major he's in? We need to link a student to a department. This is how we store that information. So yes, we need something that says the student,
Can we just connect when it belongs to the student?
I'm sorry,
Relationship when it belongs to.
the relationship belongs to.
Just connect it to student.
No. If you put these three together, that means the three of them are linked together.
Ah.
That doesn't mean that if you put these three together that this, I mean, it's possible to take two or three, or it's not like something optional. Now they link together, that means they link together, the three of them. So I cannot just take this and put it as student, because it will mean now every faculty, if he's going like to be associated into a department, he needs a student. And so let's just make this, I don't know what to call it. Can I change this to here? And this. Sometimes it's not as easy as it looks. Okay. So this relationship, we'll call it, has a major, or majors, or major, has a major. Specialization, yeah, same thing. It's specialized in, yeah, I think specialized. So this is something that or majors in a specific department. Anyways, okay, and then what else? Do you think there's something else you want to suggest?
faculty with the student?
Faculty with a student. As an advisor, yes, we do that. So we could have a faculty with a student, and let's just do something like this. Relationship, like that. Put them somehow. Advisors. So we could have something like that too. Any more ideas? Teacher with grade to do what? Well, generally the teacher who is teaching is the one who grades. So there's no special way where we have like a special arrangement, some other people marking. Maybe in the ELI they might do that, because they have, for example, for the final exams, but you don't know this, they have different people marking students. But yeah, I know, you have
Is not correct.
I'm not saying it's not correct. I'm saying that this is not something we do. It's correct, it's possible. Everything is possible. Especially when there's no restrictions, you can put a lot of things. I'm just trying to say, let's just stick to our reality here as much as possible. Okay, any other things? Advisor with the department? What do you mean? The faculty is already linked to departments. So when he is connected, when he is associated to a student, he becomes an advisor. So I'm sorry. The student with the grade? The faculty? What's the relationship? Well, if he teaches a section, he's going to put the grade anyways. So we know if he's associated to a section, we know that he's the guy who's entering the grade. So let's say that's enough. Let's call it enough because we have 10 minutes or less. Let's work on the cardinality. Yes. Yeah.
What will happen if I have like a duplicate relationship?
You have extra. You're going to have extra columns in your tables.
It's not needed. Like
Yeah, some duplication of information that takes more storage for nothing.
so it will reduce.
The efficiency of the database, and might also lead to some kind of confusion, because why is this there? Can I update it just in one place, or I have to do both? Or maybe you miss one place and forget some other.
So it's considered.
So yeah, it might not be okay. Let me tell you one thing first. This is not correct.
Section.
Yeah, because this has a different name. This section is called a weak entity, but I'm not going to do that talk today. I'll leave it for next class, inshallah. Why is this called a weak entity? Because a section cannot exist without a course. And you can represent that by doing such a thing, by representing this to be not like that, but it has this kind of representation. Can I add? No. Okay, let's just add something like this. This is how you represent the fact that this section needs a course. But how do you know that because this section is associated to a student and grade at the same time, is associated to a faculty, is associated to a course? So how do you say that this is linked to a course? No. You change this type of relationship. This relationship, you change it and you put this one, the double that comes with it. That's, I think they call it weak relationship, but I think this is more accurate to call it is an identifying relationship. And this is how it's called in the book. It's identifying relationship because this relationship identifies which entity this weak entity is needed. It's related to. It needs. This section needs a course. If there's no course, there's going to be no sections. And how to represent that? We represent it this way, as a weak entity, and this is what is weak entity. It's not like a same level of entity as the others, because each one of the others can live without the rest. But this section is linked to a course extremely, because if you remove a course, the section should be removed. Yes.
Does every weak entity need a weak relationship?
Yes. At least, yeah, it has to need one. Every weak entity needs this one weak relationship, which is the identifying relationship. Because when you say this is weak, you have to say, okay, why is it weak? Because it depends on what? It depends on the course, so you have to mention it by putting this representation. So it has to be at least one, yes.
And if it has more than one weak relationship?
I don't think it should have more than one. Because I cannot think about an example where a weak entity will need more than one. I don't think about something. But if it exists, it will be like this associated to more than one entity into this weak relationship. That's fine. I can have, for example, something like this and something related to it. That's okay. But having another weak relationship or identifying relationship independent from the other one, that's not possible. Yeah, as far as I know, Wallahu alam. Now, does this have any effect on the cardinality? No. This just represents that this entity needs another to be uniquely identified. And now the best proof of this is that you see every section has a number, right? 101, 102, 103. But if I tell you, okay, there's a student that is registered in section 101, is this information going to be enough for you?
No.
Okay, 101 of which course? So you need the course to be able to uniquely identify a section. And that's how you can spot a weak entity. Because it cannot be identified by itself. It needs another entity to be able to identify it with. Alright, and with the remaining 5 minutes, let's get something started at least. So let's start with the course and section. Now you remember, every time I'd like to look for the cardinality, there are two things that I should always remember, that the minimum is either 0 or 1, and the maximum is 1 or many. I'll represent the many with the star, sometimes also with n, and all these are representations. So with star, what is it? Okay, star or n, yeah, that's the same thing. I don't know how to represent that, slash n. So it's the same thing, that means many. So now you would like to know the cardinality, so we need to start from one side. So let's start from the right. Let's say one course can have how many sections? At least one, and at maximum many. So let's add this multiplicity, remove this one. Oh no. So at least one, and then many with the star. Okay, and now from the other side, if we have one section, it can be associated to how many courses? One and only one. So we need to delete this one and put this to be 1. So if I say 1, that means 1 and only 1. Is that okay? So let's continue. Let's continue from the course. A course is offered by how many departments?
One department. Well, depends.
What do you mean, depends?
Maybe there is one department that has many courses.
No, we're talking about what? We're talking about a course or a department. Now, if you do this kind of confusion, you get lost. So we're talking about one course, don't get the department involved. We're just looking at it from one course view. So one course is offered by how many departments? And it should be only one. Minimum 1, maximum 1. But one department can offer how many courses? 0 or many? Have you ever seen a department with no courses? Yeah. The finance department in the university is a department. Or I don't know, the student affairs, not student affairs, the student clubs. But yeah, then your definition of department is now you have to decide what department means. By department I mean academic department. Then you have to say, okay, it's not possible that one academic department do not offer any course. Doesn't make sense. So it should be 1 and maximum many. The star. And we'll stop here, inshallah. We'll continue the part 2